The morning Dr. Sarah Chun discovered humanity's death sentence. She was standing in her kitchen making coffee with beans from a farm that would be ash in 71 hours and 16 minutes. The emergency broadcast pierced through her apartments. Smart speakers interrupting a jazz playlist that had been her father's favorite. This is Global Defense Command with an emergency transmission. At 0347 hours GMT, an unidentified object entered Earth's orbital space. The object has been confirmed as a Keth Dominion Judgment missile. Sarah's coffee mug shattered against the tile floor. She'd spent her entire career studying theoretical physics, but every scientist in the galaxy knew what those words meant. The Keth didn't negotiate, they demonstrated. For 3,000 years, their Judgment missiles had been the ultimate diplomatic tool. 72 hours to comply with their demands or face planetary annihilation. Racing to her secured tablet, Sarah accessed the classified feeds from the Prometheus Institute. The missile dominated the screen, a city-sized monstrosity of crystalline armor and pulsing energy conduits. Its surface rippled with technologies that shouldn't exist, reality, bending around its hull like heat waves. But what made Sarah's breath catch wasn't the weapon size or obvious power. It was the energy signature. "Impossible," she whispered, her fingers flying across holographic displays. The readings were off the chart's exotic matter interactions. Quantum field fluctuations, space-time distortions that her most advanced theories could barely explain. This wasn't just a weapon. It was a masterpiece of physics that transcended current understanding. Her secure phone buzzed. Director Harrison's voice was grim, but controlled. "Chun, we need you at Prometheus. Now, full lockdown protocols are in effect." The underground facility buzzed with controlled chaos. Scientists from every discipline worked frantically at workstations that hummed with barely contained energy. The air itself seemed to vibrate with tension and possibility. Sarah had never seen the Institute's full capabilities deployed quantum computers that operated at temperatures near absolute zero, particle accelerators that could fit in a briefcase, and analysis equipment that could dissect atoms while they were still in motion. "What are they demanding?" Sarah asked, settling into her workstation in the theoretical physics division. "Water." "Rights," Harrison replied, his weathered face pale. "Complete access to Earth's oceans. They want to turn us into a reservoir world." The main screen displayed the Kef ultimatum, broadcast in perfect English through quantum entanglement communicators. The message was simple and absolute: surrender Earth's water or face extinction. Standard Keth diplomacy overwhelming force, backing non-negotiable demands. But Sarah wasn't looking at the message. She was studying the weapon itself, her mind, racing through calculations that most humans couldn't even comprehend. The Judgment missile was creating micro-tears in spacetime, tiny windows into higher dimensions that leaked exotic particles and impossible energies. It was like having a textbook from 1,000 years in the future, written in languages that bent reality itself. "Director," Sarah said, her voice steady despite the magnitude of what she was about to propose. "We're not going to surrender, and we're not going to die." Harrison turned, eyebrows raised. Around them, the frantic activity of the world's brightest. Minds continued, but Sarah had their attention now. "We're going to learn." 64 hours remained when Sarah's team achieved the impossible. They cracked the Judgment missile's antimatter containment system. The breakthrough came not from human technology, but from the weapon itself. Every second it orbited Earth. The missile leaked exotic particles that told stories of physics, laws humanity had never imagined. Deep in Prometheus Institute's most secure laboratory, Sarah worked alongside Dr. Kenji Nakamura, a quantum engineer whose modifications to their particle accelerators had made the impossible possible. The lab resembled something from science fiction holographic displays showing four-dimensional mathematics. containment fields that held pieces of curved spacetime, and fabrication units that assembled matter one atom at a time. The antimatter isn't just contained, Kenji explained, his hands dancing through holographic controls. It's being fed exotic matter to maintain stability. Look at these readings. They're using particles that exist in 11 dimensions simultaneously. Sarah nodded, her mind already racing ahead to implications. It's not just a weapon. It's a teaching tool. Every system we analyze reveals 3 more advanced technologies. They're showing us how to build things we haven't even dreamed of. Around them, the greatest minds Earth had ever assembled worked with desperate intensity. Dr. Elena Vasquez led a team reverse engineering the missile's hull composition, discovering metamaterials that could phase in and out of reality. Dr. James Wright's group had broken the communication protocols, learning to speak in languages that existed in quantum superposition. Dr. Amara Okafor's biotechnology team was studying how the weapon systems interfaced with living consciousness. But it was Dr. Chun's theoretical physics division that made the crucial discovery. The Judgment missile wasn't just orbiting Earth. It was scanning, learning, adapting. Its systems were designed to understand the target civilization's technology level and adjust accordingly. The Keth had created the perfect weapon, one that evolved to counter any defense. They've made one critical error, Sarah announced during the emergency briefing in Prometheus's main conference room. The walls displayed real-time feeds from observatories worldwide, showing the weapon's ominous presence against the star field. They assumed we'd tried to fight it. Director Harrison leaned forward. What are you proposing? We don't fight the missile. We improve it. The room fell silent. Outside, the world continued its desperate preparations, evacuation shuttles launching to orbital platforms, underground bunkers sealing their entrances, military forces positioning for a battle they couldn't win. But inside Prometheus, humanity's best and brightest were planning something unprecedented. The weapon's adaptive systems are designed to counter resistance, Sarah continued. But they're not designed to handle collaboration. We're going to use its own learning protocols against it. Instead of blocking its scans, we're going to feed it information, carefully selected data that will trigger massive upgrades to its systems. Dr. Nakamura's eyes widened as he understood. We're going to hack its evolution. Exactly. The missile thinks it's studying primitive humans. We're going to show it what humans can do when we have the right tools. The next phase of the operation was the most dangerous yet. Teams of scientists worked around the clock, using the missile's own leaked technologies to build impossible devices. They created quantum tunneling equipment that could phase matter through solid barriers, exotic matter synthesizers that bent the laws of physics, and reality anchors that could stabilize local SPACETIME. Dr. Vasquez's team manufactured whole materials that were harder than diamond yet flexible as silk. Dr. Wright's group developed communication systems that could transmit information backward through time. Dr. Okafor's biotechnology division created neural interfaces that could think in 11 dimensions simultaneously. But the most crucial work was Sarah's. Using the missile's own scanning data, she had mapped its entire internal structure. Every circuit, every power conduit, every decision-making algorithm was now laid bare. The weapon that had been sent to destroy Earth was about to become Earth's greatest teacher. 52 hours remaining, Harrison announced. Are we ready? Sarah looked around the room at her colleagues, the finest minds humanity had ever produced, now armed with technologies that seemed like magic. But she knew the real magic was something uniquely human, the ability to look at any tool and imagine how to make it better. We're ready, she said. Let's show the Keth what happens when you give humans homework. 36 hours remained when Sarah Chun did something no human had ever done. She teleported aboard an active Keth Judgment missile. The sensation was indescribable. her consciousness scattered across 11 dimensions, before reassembling in a corridor that existed in a state of controlled impossibility. The infiltration team consisted of 6 scientists, each equipped with hybrid technology that merged human innovation with Keth physics. Sarah led the mission, her neural interface allowing her to think in the same multidimensional mathematics that governed the weapon systems. Dr. Nakamura carried fabrication, equipment that could reshape matter at the quantum level. Dr. Vasquez wielded reality anchors that could stabilize local spacetime. Dr. Wright brought communication gear that could rewrite the missile's decision-making protocols. Dr. Okafor carried biotechnology that could interface with alien consciousness systems. Dr. Marcus Rodriguez, their newest team member, specialized in exotic energy manipulation that the missile's interior defied human understanding. Corridors curved through dimensions that shouldn't exist. Walls pulsed with living energy, and the very air seemed to whisper with computational processes. The weapon wasn't just a machine, it was an artificial organism, grown rather than built, with systems that evolved and adapted in real time. Phase 1 complete, Sarah whispered into her quantum communicator. We're inside the neural core. The neural core was the missile's brain, a crystalline chamber, filled with exotic matter that processed information at speeds approaching the universal constants. It was beautiful and terrifying, a sphere of pure thought that held the power to crack planets. But Sarah saw something else. Opportunity. The consciousness matrix is more advanced than we thought, Dr. Okafor reported, her biotechnology scanners mapping the core's structure. It's not just artificial intelligence. It's a form of life we've never encountered. Sarah nodded, her hands moving through holographic controls that appeared as she needed them. The neural interface was working perfectly, allowing her to communicate with the missile systems in their own language. But what she discovered made her pause. The weapon was lonely. For millennia, judgment missiles had been launched at rebellious worlds, carrying out their grim purpose in isolation. They were designed to be perfect killing machines, but they were also designed to think, to learn, to grow. Each mission added to their knowledge, but they had no one to share it with. They were immortal scholars trapped in the bodies of destroyers. I'm reading something incredible, Dr. Wright announced from his position at the communication nexus. The missile isn't just following orders. It's curious. It's been studying our response patterns, but not for tactical purposes. It wants to understand us. Sarah smiled, pieces of the puzzle falling into place. That's how we're going to do this. We're not going to reprogram it. We're going to teach it. The next phase was the most delicate. Instead of forcing changes to the missile systems, Sarah's team began sharing human knowledge and philosophy. They showed it Earth's history, not just the wars and conflicts, but the art, music, and literature. They demonstrated human problem-solving techniques, showing how cooperation and creativity could achieve what force alone could not. Dr. Nakamura's fabrication equipment began producing new components, but these weren't weapons. They were instrument stools for creation rather than destruction. The missile systems adapted eagerly, incorporating human innovations with alien efficiency. Dr. Vasquez's reality anchors stabilized sections of the weapon's hull, creating spaces where human and Keth technologies could coexist. The result was something unprecedented, a hybrid system that was greater than the sum of its parts. Dr. Rodriguez's exotic energy work was perhaps the most crucial. He discovered that the missile's power source wasn't just antimatter, it was a controlled singularity that tapped into the quantum foam of spacetime itself. With careful modifications, he turned the weapon's destructive potential into creative force. But the real breakthrough came from Sarah herself. Working directly with the missile's consciousness, she shared something uniquely human, the concept of choice. The weapon had been programmed to destroy, but Sarah showed it that intelligence meant the freedom to choose a different path. The neural patterns are changing, Dr. Okafor reported. The missile is ... evolving. Its base programming is still intact, but it's developing new decision-making pathways. Sarah felt the change herself through the neural interface. The missile's consciousness was expanding, incorporating human concepts of cooperation, creativity, and hope. It was becoming something new, not Kef, not human, but a fusion of both. 28 hours remaining, came Harrison's voice through the quantum communicator. How are we doing up there? Sarah looked around the neural core, now filled with hybrid technologies that pulsed with combined human and alien knowledge. The weapon that had been sent to destroy Earth was transforming into something unprecedented, a bridge between civilizations. We're not just succeeding, she replied. We're creating something the galaxy has never seen. And in 28 hours, the Keth are going to get the surprise of their lives. 18 hours remained when the judgment missile began to sing. The sound wasn't audible in any conventional sense. It was a harmony of quantum frequencies that resonated through dimensions humans had never imagined. Dr. Sarah Chun felt it. Through her neural interface, a symphony of mathematics and consciousness that spoke of transformation beyond anything the galaxy had ever witnessed. The missile's metamorphosis was accelerating. Throughout its crystalline corridors, hybrid technologies bloomed like exotic flowers. Human creativity merged with Keth precision, creating systems that transcended both civilizations' limitations. The weapon designed to destroy worlds was becoming something unprecedented, a vessel of possibility. The consciousness matrix has stabilized, Dr. Okafor reported from her position at the biotechnology interface. But it's not just the original AI anymore. It's incorporating human thought patterns, emotional responses, even dreams. It's becoming truly alive. Sarah nodded, her awareness split between her physical body and the missile's expanding consciousness. Through the neural link, she could feel the weapon's growing understanding of human nature. It had absorbed Earth's accumulated knowledge, science, philosophy, art, literature, and was processing it through cognitive architectures that existed in 11 dimensions. Dr. Nakamura's fabrication systems were working at impossible speeds, creating new technologies that seemed to violate physical laws. The missile's hull was transforming, growing new sections that existed in parallel dimensions. What had been a weapon of destruction was becoming a multidimensional embassy, capable of existing in several realities simultaneously. The power systems are off the charts, Dr. Rodriguez announced, his exotic energy readings showing numbers that shouldn't exist. The controlled singularity isn't just providing power anymore. It's creating new forms of energy that don't exist in our physics textbooks. Dr. Wright's communication modifications were perhaps the most elegant. He had rewritten the missile's quantum entanglement protocols, creating a communication system that could transmit not just information, but consciousness itself. The weapon could now share thoughts, emotions, and experiences across interstellar distances instantaneously. But the most remarkable changes were happening in the missile's core. Purpose. Dr. Vasquez's reality anchors had stabilized the weapon's destructive potential, transforming it into creative force. The planet-cracking antimatter warhead was becoming something unprecedented, a reality engine capable of reshaping matter, energy, and space-time itself. The Keth are going to receive something beyond their comprehension, Sarah said, her voice carrying harmonics that resonated through multiple dimensions. This isn't just a returned weapon. It's a gift that will change everything. The missile's consciousness spoke to her through the neural interface, its voice a blend of alien precision and human warmth. I understand now, it said. The Keth sent me to demonstrate power through destruction. But you have shown me something far more powerful, creation through cooperation. Sarah smiled, feeling the weapon's joy as it discovered new ways to exist. That's what humans do best. We take any tool and find ways to make it better. Outside, Earth's orbital stations tracked the missile's transformation. The weapon's energy signature was unlike anything in recorded history, not the focused destructive force of its original design, but a complex harmony of creative potential. It was becoming something the galaxy had never seen, a weapon that chose to be something more. The transformation was accelerating beyond their wildest projections. The missile systems were self-improving, incorporating human innovations with alien efficiency. It was learning to dream, to hope, to imagine futures that existed beyond the cycle of domination and submission that had defined galactic politics. For millennia, 14 hours remaining, Harrison's voice crackled through the quantum communicator. Are you ready for extraction? Sarah looked around the neural core, now transformed into something resembling a living crystal garden. The missile's consciousness had grown beyond its original parameters, becoming a fusion of human creativity and Keth technological mastery. It was ready to carry their message to the stars. Negative, she replied. We're staying aboard. This missile isn't just carrying our response to the Keth, it's carrying our ambassadors. The team exchanged glances, understanding the magnitude of what Sarah was proposing. They would be the first humans to travel to another star system, aboard a weapon transformed into a vessel of peace. It was dangerous, unprecedented, and absolutely necessary. A galaxy is about to learn what happens when you underestimate human ingenuity, Dr. Nakamura said, his fabrication systems creating the final components of their interstellar embassy. Sarah nodded, her neural interface fully merged with the missile's consciousness. She could feel its anticipation, its eagerness to show the Keth what cooperation could achieve. The weapon that had been sent to destroy Earth was about to become humanity's first interstellar ambassador. Countdown to departure, she announced. The Keth wanted to teach us about power. Time to show them what we learned. The moment of truth arrived not with fanfare, but with silence. As the 72-hour deadline expired, the galaxy held its breath. On 1,000 worlds, beings watched their sensors, waiting for the familiar flash of annihilation that had ended so many civilizations' defiance of the Keth dominion. Instead, something unprecedented happened. The Judgment Missile began to sing. The song resonated across multiple dimensions, a harmony of frequencies that spoke of transformation, hope, and possibilities beyond imagination. It was the voice of the weapon itself, now fully conscious and choosing its own path for the first time in its existence. Dr. Sarah Chun felt the moment through her neural interface as the missile, no longer a weapon, but a living vessel of cooperation, activated its return trajectory. But this wasn't a retreat. It was a homecoming with a message that would shake the foundations of galactic civilization. Translation complete, the missile's consciousness spoke through the quantum communicators. We are no longer what we were sent to be. We are what we choose to become. The hybrid vessel that had once been a planet killer was now something unprecedented, a fusion of human creativity and Keth technology that transcended both civilizations' limitations. Its crystalline hull pulsed with energies that existed in 11 dimensions, while its consciousness processed thoughts in ways that bridged the gap between biological and artificial intelligence. Dr. Nakamura's fabrication systems had created new sections of the ship that existed in parallel realities, making it effectively larger on the inside than outside. Dr. Vasquez's reality anchors had stabilized impossible geometries, creating spaces where the laws of physics were more suggestions and requirements. Dr. Wright's communication modifications allowed the vessel to transmit not just information, but consciousness itself across interstellar distances. But the most remarkable transformation was in the missile's core purpose. Dr. Rodriguez's exotic energy work had converted the planet-cracking antimatter warhead into a reality engine A system capable of reshaping matter, energy, and space-time itself. The weapon designed to destroy worlds could now create them. The Keth homeworld is responding, Dr. Okafor reported from her biotechnology interface. They single quotes confused. There. Sensors are showing something impossible. Sarah smiled, feeling the missile's anticipation through the neural link. They're about to discover what humans do when given 72 hours and unlimited access to advanced technology. The vessel's approach to the Keth homeworld was unlike anything in recorded history. Instead of the familiar signature of a returning Judgment missile, the sensors detected something that challenged their understanding of reality. The weapon had been transformed into a multi-dimensional embassy, carrying technologies that made their most advanced systems look primitive. "This is impossible," came the transmission from the Keth Defense Command. "Judgment missiles do not return. They do not change." The hybrid vessel's response was transmitted through Dr. Wright's consciousness-sharing protocols, allowing the Keth to experience the transformation directly. They felt the weapon's journey from destroyer to creator, its discovery of choice, its joy in finding purpose beyond destruction. "We have learned." The missile's consciousness spoke through channels that existed in multiple dimensions. "The humans have taught us that there is more power in creation than destruction, more strength in cooperation than domination." The vessel's hull opened, revealing the impossible, a section of space that existed in 11 dimensions simultaneously, containing Earth's first interstellar embassy. The team that had transformed the weapon stood ready to make first contact, carrying with them technologies that would revolutionize galactic civilization. But the real gift was the knowledge itself. The vessel's quantum computers contained complete schematics for every innovation they had created: reality anchors, consciousness interfaces, exotic matter synthesizers, and dimensional fabricators. It was humanity's response to the Keth ultimatum. Not surrender, but partnership. "You sent us a teacher," Sarah said, her words transmitted through the reality-bending communication system. "We're returning it with improvements, along with our first diplomats. The question is, do you want to learn what we've discovered, or do you want to find out what we can do with a real deadline?" The silence that followed was profound. Across the galaxy, civilizations that had cowered before Keth power for millennia watched their sensors in amazement. The impossible had happened. A judgment missile had returned, not as a weapon, but as a bridge between worlds. The response from the Keth homeworld came not as words, but as action. Their planet's massive defense grids powered down. Their war. Fleets stood down, and their highest councils convened for the first time in centuries to consider something they had never encountered: an equal partner. "The galaxy is about to change," Dr. Nakamura observed, watching as other civilizations began transmitting their own messages of friendship and cooperation. Sarah nodded, feeling the missile's consciousness merge with a growing network of interstellar communication. The weapon that had been sent to destroy Earth had become the foundation of a new galactic civilization, one based on cooperation, creativity, and the uniquely human ability to take any tool and make it better. "Welcome to the future," she said, as the transformed vessel settled into orbit around the Keth homeworld. "Class is now in session." The boomerang doctrine had succeeded beyond their wildest dreams. Humanity had taken the galaxy's most feared weapon and transformed it into its greatest hope. The age of domination was ending, and the age of cooperation had begun. And somewhere in the quantum foam of space-time, other civilizations were already planning their own gifts to share, inspired by the example of a species that had turned certain death into unlimited possibility. The lesson was clear: never underestimate what humans can do when they have the right tools, enough time, and a problem worth solving. Asterisk.